The first thing I would like to do this afternoon, this evening, is to light the votive candles. The first candle that we light represents hope. The second purple candle, again, depending on the devotional literature that you are reading at the time, represents love, faith, or peace. The third votive candle stands for joy. And the beautiful pink candle always represents love. And finally today, we are lighting the white candle, which is, of course, the Christ candle, the Christmas candle that we all are celebrating today. First of all, I want to thank every one of you so much for joining us this afternoon. This is the first time we've actually had a Christmas Eve service at 4 p.m. on the 24th of December. We hope that it accommodates your Christmas plans with family and friends. It works together for you. But I want to extend to every one of you a very, very Merry Christmas and thank you for being here. It's a special blessing, really, to be together on this sacred night when we celebrate both the birth of the Master Jesus and the inner meaning that this birth holds for each and every one of us. Now, shall we begin this evening by saying our Divine Science Statement of Being? You'll find it in your orders of service if you don't know it. Together. God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am the individualized expression of God, and am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. And now please, as you are able, we would like you to stand and sing our opening hymn, which is going to be number 35. You'll find that in your hymnals. Number 35, O Little Town of Bethlehem, and we'll sing verses 1, 2, and 3. That's number 35, verses 1, 2, and 3. be sure to join us for refreshments. I assume we are.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, we have refreshments after this afternoon service. It'll be such a pleasure to visit and to wish each other a happy Christmas. Our guest musicians this afternoon are Lisa and Maurita Wiggins. And if you have not yet received it, our executive board has a gift for you. It's one of those great light-up pens, and they just go on and on. They don't peter out on you. So be sure to get one before you
I just found out this afternoon it lights up. It's beautiful.
It doesn't have to light up, in case you don't want it to, of course. Now, I would appreciate your standing and wishing everybody around you a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Introduce yourself if you don't know somebody.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. And a Merry Christmas.
I remember Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Merry Christmas from Ohio. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Broadway.
Thank you so much for coming today. Merry Christmas.
Right in front of Oh, thank you. Thank you.
By golly. Merry Christmas. Oh, nice to meet you, Melanie. Actually, Merry Christmas.
And now, if I may, I am going to ask you to stand once again, and we are going to sing number 30, Joy to the World, and we will sing verses 1 and 2. Number 30, verses 1 and 2. So if you could stand as you are able.
We have a piano player.
If you wouldn't mind going back to the piano, we would appreciate your musical interlude now.
This is called Jesu Bambino.
shall we get still and close our eyes, retreat into that sacred space within us. Take a deep breath and relax your shoulders and arms and hands. And check your face and make sure that it too is relaxed, including the jaw. Back and stomach, legs and feet. Peacefully knowing and accepting the blessings that this Christmas holds. The blessings of love, attachment, affection, respect that we give to one another. The acknowledgement that we are so remarkably blessed in so many, many ways. Indeed, we each and all have our challenges. But by the same token, if we look around, and we don't have to look very far, we will find so many who have challenges that are so much greater than ours, that by comparison ours are relatively small indeed. This day, so many around the world celebrate the birth of that incredible man, that leader, that mystic, that teacher, that healer, that compassionate friend, that understanding Messiah. For he was all this and more to more people around the world today than we can imagine. We give thanks for his birth. We give thanks for his life, for the things he taught us, which have made this world a better place. After 2,000 years, we are still seeking to put into action all that he taught. But as we do, we find that there is greater understanding and peace and love and joy all over, all around our world. We see the troubles, we hear the troubles, the injustices, the outright inhumanity. We hear it all the time. But what bleeds leads. What is communicated to us through the media are the unusual things. The things that outrage us and worry us and upset us, make us shake our heads. What is not equally recognized and advertised is the many countless kindnesses, peaceful gestures, forgiveness and acceptance that we each and all, and so many billions of others, express and experience every day. And so for all this good, all that we don't hear or read or see going on, but nonetheless does. For all that, for God's action through so many, many billions of people, we give deepest thanks. Amen. You know, I looked briefly through my notes on all the messages that I had delivered on Christmas Eve for the last 13, 14 years or so. And apparently I've read many times the description of Jesus' birth, but I have never read Luke 25:30. Although in my memory somewhere I thought I had talked about it. We're all so familiar, really, with the wonderful stories of the 3 wise men that brought the gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh, and of Herod, actually, and his plot to kill the infant Jesus. We've heard about the beautiful story of the shepherds hearing and seeing angels, hearing them singing in the fields as they watched the flocks. But what happened next, after the shepherds visited the babe in the manger, is again found in Luke 21:40. And it's worthy of attention. So I'm sharing that with you today. And this is the Phillips translation. At the end of the 8 days, the time came for circumcision for the child, and he was called Jesus, the name given to him by the angel before the conception. When the purification time stipulated by the law of Moses was completed, they brought Jesus to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. This was to fulfill a requirement of the law of the Lord. Every male that openeth the womb shall be called holy to the Lord. In Jerusalem there was at this time a man by the name of Simeon. He was an upright man, devoted to the service of God, living in expectation of the restoration of Israel. His heart was open to the Holy Spirit, and it had been revealed to him that he would not die before he saw the Lord's Christ. He had been led by the Spirit to go into the temple, and when Jesus' parents brought the child in to have done to him what the law required, he took him up in his arms, blessed God, and said, "Now, Lord, you are dismissing your servant in peace as you promised. For with my own eyes I have seen your salvation, which you have made ready for all peoples to see, a light to show truth to the Gentiles and bring glory to your people Israel." The child's father and mother were still amazed at what was said about him when Simeon gave them his blessing. He said to Mary, the child's mother, "This child is destined to make many fall and many rise in Israel, and to set up a standard which many will attack. For he will expose the secret thoughts of many hearts. And for you, your very soul will be pierced by a sword." There was also present Anna, the daughter of Phanuel of the tribe of Asher, who was a prophetess. She was a very old woman, having had 7 years married life, and then was now a widow of 84. I don't think that's very old, do you? Well, she had spent her whole life in the temple and worshiped God day and night with fastings and prayers. She came up at this very moment, praised God, and spoke about Jesus to all those in Jerusalem who were expecting redemption. When they had completed all the requirements of the law of the Lord, they returned to Galilee, to their own town of Nazareth. The child grew and became strong and full of wisdom, and God's blessing was upon him. Now, none of the other Gospels contains this story, but apparently Luke had the presence of mind to interview Mary and to include many of her special memories about Jesus' birth and the things that happened to him immediately after. I'm sure there were probably a great many other things she might have remembered, but which never found their way into print, but that is our loss. Of course, the society that Jesus was born into gave far more credence to visions and dreams and prophecies than our science-centered, left-brain, linear thinking society does. But if two people came up to any one of us immediately after our child's baptism and prophesied, independent of each other, that our child would bring extraordinary blessings to us and to our nation, it would make a very serious and joyful impression on us. Now, we do have to be careful and define what salvation and redemption, which were the action words in the gospel, what those words meant to the people of Jesus' time. It is absolutely not what we think of today, what these two words mean to us today. 2,000 years ago, they meant very different things. Today, salvation means being saved from going to hell after you die. Salvation. In Jesus' time, though, salvation meant being physically saved from enemies like poverty or disease or death. On the positive side, it also meant having God's blessings like wealth, power, victory over your enemies, like when the waters parted and the Israelites escaped over dry land, but the pursuing Egyptian army was drowned when the waters closed again. That was one of God's blessings. In Jesus' time, Simeon might have thought in terms of the Jews being saved from the oppressive rule of the Romans. And Hannah's excited prophecy about this child bringing redemption to the Jewish people was similar in many ways to Simeon's prophecy, because redemption in those days meant buying back something that was either lost or stolen, or setting free someone or something from captivity or from slavery. In future days, she very possibly saw that infant as claiming freedom for his nation. Remember, the Jews expected the Messiah to be a military leader, not a spiritual leader. Simeon and Anna intuitively knew that Jesus would take an extraordinary role in the future of their country and the world. And it is a beautiful little addendum to the stories of his birth, I think. But how about us? What does it mean to us 2,000 years later? How can this be of help to us, especially after I just lit the Christ candle? Christ isn't, as I thought for so many years, Jesus' last name. For us, and the inner meaning is that Christ is a title. It is a title that means the son, and today we would say child, the son of the king, the child of the king, the one who inherited all the powers and all the property of the king. That was the Christ. Because they were made, because we were made in God's image and likeness, the truth is that we are the Christ. We inherit all that God is and all that God has. We are his children, and we are loved beyond measure. Certainly, Simeon and Anna's prophecy broaden our knowledge of what exists within us that has yet to be fully expressed and experienced. You and I, in fact, are our own redeemers. We are setting ourselves free from the slavery of believing that all that we are is what we can see in the mirror and what we've done in the past. What we are instead is the individualized expression of God, what we say every Sunday morning and what we just said. Not any one-word job description or limited view or limited expectation of ourselves. For now and from now on, we are setting ourselves free from those stupid restrictions of how we defined ourselves in the past, or what we judged to be good or bad, passing or failing in our past. We begin thinking of ourselves every day, routinely, as the Christ, the unlimited child of God who has inherited within all that God is. For we are his image. Simeon mentioned in his prophecy the word salvation, which in his time meant being spared from the painful vicissitudes of life, like poverty, like disease, and instead enjoying the blessings of abundance and power over those who might seek to control you. Translated from Simeon's time and also his consciousness, his interpretation of life, we could interpret that prophecy to be saying to us that through that non-physical, eternal child of God, Christ consciousness within us, we can realistically and consistently expect good and greater good from life. God and good are synonymous. God is omnipresent, right here, right now, within and without. Therefore, good must be right here, right now, within and without, for us to experience in every dimension of our life. We are saved from worry and fear and anxiety when we accept this prophecy as describing us. There was a remarkable woman who was being interviewed on TV some time back. A lady who all by herself had managed to feed, clothe, and educate 8 children in a tar paper shack in Louisiana. What kept her going in spite of all the odds against her? She said, I seen a new world coming. I seen a new world coming. That gave me goosebumps when I first read it. Hope kept her going. Hope and her love for her children. Would you, together with me right now, close your eyes and relax once again. And say to yourself, I see a new world coming. Say it silently to yourself. I see a new world coming. Feel it. Know it. Allow yourself to picture yourself as part of a new world. Perhaps physically, financially, in your work or career. But most especially, see yourself as expressing the Christ within in a much fuller way. A new world awaits you as you emphasize kindness to each and all, compassion, mentally putting yourself in their shoes, love, beholding the Christ in them, generosity, sharing whatever you can to improve their life, to make things better for them. Emphasizing the powerful, life-transforming spiritual strengths and powers within you, being the light of the world that you are, will draw that new world more and more quickly to you. Right now, we give thanks for your ever clarifying picture of what you really are spiritually, and the special mission you've undertaken to make this world a better place. For all the blessings we now have, and for all the countless blessings that are yet to come, we say thank you, Father, Mother, friend, beloved companion, blessing and guiding force, our God. Thank you. Amen. It's now time for the blessing of the gifts. Thank you so much. And the blessing of the gifts you will find also in your orders of service. Shall we say that together? Today, I acknowledge God, omnipresent, as the source of all good, as the source of my good. With this acknowledgement, I accept His will, which is abundance in every aspect of my life. I release all thoughts of lack and limitation, and I am open and receptive to the increased flow of abundance in me right now. I joyfully accept the gifts of life, and I give freely of the special gift that I am. Through me, God omnipresent, blesses and multiplies this gift for all. Thank you, dear God. And right now we are going to have a communion service. Some of the meanings of the word communion are to share and to receive, as when two people share with one another. They both give and they both receive from one another. Today we're going to share communion, but the one that we're going to share the most with is the person who's going to be standing next to us on our right. In our communion service, we look into their eyes and say, I behold the Christ born in you. I am grateful for the Christ in you today. But just, I am born, or rather, Christ is born in you. And by that we mean that day by day we are expressing that spiritual dimension of us more and more. We will at that time gently put a piece of bread dipped in grape juice into their mouth. I behold the Christ in you, or the Christ born in you, means that I look past that outer being, the outer shell, to that inner dimension that is our true self, our eternal self, our most powerful and loving self. That part of us that was made in God's image and likeness, and that is always rising in power and peace, wisdom and love. Today we use the symbols of bread and wine because they are the ancient symbols of sharing, of celebration, and of God's love made manifest. Most of all, we celebrate our ability to participate and fellowship with God Himself. Just talking to God, acknowledging His presence and giving thanks for all the help that we both need and receive. God who loves each one of us, who knows each one of us, and is with each one of us at all times, gazes on us in nothing but adoration and love. Now, shall we make a circle? Remember, Melody, you'll help me. behold the Christ born in you.
Behold the Christ born in you.
Behold the Christ born in you.
Behold the Christ within you.
I behold the Christ born in you.
I behold the Christ within you.
I behold the Christ born in you. Behold the Christ born in you. Behold the Christ born in you.
Behold the Christ born in you. I behold the Christ born in you. Christ. I behold the Christ born in you. I behold the Christ born in you. I behold the Christ born in you.
I behold the Christ born in you. I behold Christ in you. I behold for you, and you do it for me. I behold the Christ born in you. And thank you all. Would you like to return to your seats? And now shall we light the candles? The usher would pass them around.
You want to help me back?
You don't have to use a match, just have to turn them on.
Yeah, actually, you can sit it right there. Thank you. That's cool, that's cool.
Does everybody have one? Everybody?
No, I don't have one.
You must have one, then.
I would appreciate it. We can turn down the lights a bit. and gaze at the candle. It's flickering a little bit, or at least some of them are. And perhaps that's symbolic of us. Sometimes we don't allow our light to shine. Sometimes it flickers a little bit. But we know that we are each and all the light of the world. We've been so pronounced by the greatest man who ever lived. So we are determined that our light shine and shine and shine on this world, making it a better place, being a source of blessings, a source of understanding, of kindness, of generosity and peace to each and all. As we go through our Christmas celebrations, let us leave this in some place where we can see it periodically and be reminded of our destiny in this world, and that is to shine forth. Be God expressing through us. And for the memory of this, for being reminded of it, for being assured by Jesus' words that we are the light of the world, we again give thanks and carry forth. Thank you. Our final hymn is, of course, Silent Night, and that's number 23. When you find it in your hymnals, please stand. We will sing verses 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, and 4, and that's number 23. Keep it.
Round the
Yep. All in one bag.
Hand in hand. Grateful. Anticipating nothing but the best. Understanding that that life lived so long ago has influenced probably every life that has lived since then. But certainly it has influenced our lives. We follow the Master's example, and his was an example of such great love. Today we celebrate that love, we celebrate God's goodness, we celebrate Christmas, and we celebrate God, his presence with us, the most of all. Thank you that it is so. Amen.
Amen. Amen.